Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Live, episode 24, the beginning of the winter season. And we have got one hell of a season in store for you with lots and lots and lots of really good guests already on board. Tonight, though, we're going to kick off with, I've invited back two of my favorite guests that I had on the show a long time ago, Nata and Evgeny in Poznan in Poland. They're back because they've got a new single out, so we're going to have a chat with them live from Poland. Even though their electricity went there, they made it and they're here, and that's the main thing. Also, I have one of my favorite people in the whole world, Mr. Roddy Clear, who is radio presenter and many other things from KCLR in Kilkenny. I'm looking forward to talking to Roddy about lots of things. I have my first producer on the show tonight, RMB, which is Michael Byrne from Dublin, who is a producer and has been making a lot of music for different TV things and dance and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit different. It's something new. And then we're finishing off, but beginning again with Poetry Corner. And tonight, my guest is Kathy Carson from Crossgar in the north of Ireland. And she's going to do a reading for us as well. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And leading into the winter season as well, just to let you know, there are many, many, many good guests coming on board already, right through until New Year's Eve, which is going to be the last show of this year, and it's going to be good. For those of you watching as well, little quick explanation. The PayPal link you see flying across the bottom of the screen is just a little link that you can donate to support the show. It's not, we're not looking for millions here. It's a couple of bob if you want to help us out, just to keep the equipment running and the show going and all that kind of stuff. So I'm your presenter, Dave Morrissey, here in Limerick. As usual, the deep southwest on the farm, in the sunroom still. But I did change the backdrop, and I promised you all I would do that. And the backdrop is, of course, none other than artwork by my own kids. All of the artwork that they do on a weekly basis. I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it all together and stick it up and make a little bit of a sort of a scene out of it. So I hope you like that. It's nice and colourful. So welcome everybody. So we're going to kick off tonight with Nata and Evgeny, and what we're going to do is play you their new single, which I quite like. It's called Shine, and it is really, really good. These guys are just getting better and better and better all the time. So I want to play this for you first. Have a look at this. Listen to the melody. Listen to everything. It's wonderful. Nata and Evgeny. Shine. This is just beautiful, beautiful music.
Shine. silent, shine, lovely. Every story shows me a time to life, and I can't take on this on this and your time. Every story making too many case. You hate me. I despise your voice as it doesn't come so free. Darling, I think you hear me. Every story shows me glory, not the light, not that. Every story brings me story in any page. And me, mother's baby, for something free. Hear me. Story, don't be one to my
Wow, that is just something else, guys. You will not see music like that too often. I can tell you that for sure. It is just that kind of music that inspires me and makes me do this show. I'll be honest, it just gets me every time. And the guys, of course, were on with me a while back, and I fell in love with them. I absolutely have fallen in love with the guys, and they're in Poznan in Poland. And despite the electricity shortage and the blackouts and everything, they are here, and Nata is here. And Nata, a lot of people are very, very happy to see you again.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm very happy, and Yevgeny is very happy to see all guys, and we really appreciate your attention to our music, and with a big heart we always remember about our first interview on your Friday night live show, and this is after that interview we get fabulous people in our among our friends. and we
Yes.
continue to contact with them
Yeah,
until this day.
Nata, you have a lot of new fans since that interview, and I can tell you, a lot of people ask me about you regularly and your instruments and the way you play and your music. And I'd say, listen, guys, this is something you've never seen before. This is so cool. And
Yeah.
in Ireland, they love you guys as I do. And you're the first guest that have come back for the second time because I tried to keep new guests all the time, but I said no. This is winter season. It's time for Nata and Evgeny again. So you have no electricity. What has happened in Poznan tonight? There's no electricity.
In Poznan here is everything okay, but something become wrong in our apartments when we came from our friends and before 1 hour before this
Yeah.
interview, it we lost it and we don't know
What's
what we will
what's
be
happened? Yeah.
what we will do, but in just in a few minutes we engaged to find a new place for our
Okay. For
interview.
our
But
interview.
it's so sorry
You
for us. We cannot to perform you our
yes.
new song with electricity. What we wanted to
Yeah.
present firstly in your show, our new song. But I don't know how many times we have, but I hope we will sing for you on live
You will.
today evening too. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah, you will.
firstly
Look,
we can
you
just
know,
identify.
Nata, let me tell you something. You will be on this show as many times as you like, okay? So it's no problem. We can do this
Oh,
again.
thank you.
I am disappointed. I am sad. There's no live music, but still, it's okay because you will be back, and we're going to do a super super show on New Year's Eve, a huge big Friday Night Live, and we will invite you guys along. And hopefully, if you're free and you're available, you'll come along. We're going to do a super long show for charity on New Year's Eve, and
Thank
to
you very much.
raise money
Yes.
for charity. So you guys will come along, hopefully. Now, tell me about Shine, the song Shine. I love it.
Yes, I can. What do you want to listen about this song? Because
What is this? What is the song about? What is Shine about?
the main message of this song is that about we sing that shine like stars in the sky
Mm,
by your good things, by your creativity, all that you make around yourself.
yeah, yeah,
You can make your shyness around
yeah,
to other people,
yeah.
and it is the main message of this song.
Good. It's a good message, and it's important. It is important to tap into your creative self. I think if everybody did that, we would be much happier. The world would be a better place for sure. And I like the message. I also wanted to ask you because the song is 6 minutes and 59 seconds long, and it's a
Yes.
single. It's a single, so that's very, very long for a single. But I don't get bored. I love it. I love every second of it. Uh, did you did you think when you were making the song this should be shorter or it's okay the way it is?
Many people are very wondered about that situation, what you just described,
Yeah, yeah,
because they listen to our music and they didn't bore during
yeah,
listening to
yeah,
our music. Yes.
yeah. It's good because
And
it's good. Yeah,
uh, I didn't know. Before we released this song, some people told to us, "You should cut this
yeah,
song," uh,
shorter.
and and we just answered to them, "We give you our song, and you can cut out all what you want."
Yeah.
But
Yes.
we, like
Yeah.
creators, cannot
Yeah. No.
cut in this song anything, and
No.
we
No.
just bring our message in such a way, and
Yeah.
maybe some would like to cut something out from that, and
Yeah.
many songs we have in our program in the same, maybe longer, for example, Haim,
Yeah.
or I don't know what else,
You have
but
many long. You have many songs that are long time,
yes,
and
yes,
but it's
but
okay. That's okay.
but a very interesting fact that during our live gigs, we had not this summer we had the gigs with which long lasted during 3 hours, and
Wow.
people didn't wanted
No problem. No problem.
to
Yeah.
go out. Yes,
Yeah.
so
Good. 3 hours in Ireland. If you do 2 hours, it's good. It's good. So if you do now, I have played. I'll be honest. I have played for 3 hours and 4 hours sometimes, but only on special nights. Special nights. So I know
yes.
if you do 3 hours, the gig is good. Encore, encore, encore. All you know. So, and you guys are back playing live. What gigs have you been doing?
During the summer and of beginning of the autumn,
Yeah,
during this summer and autumn periods, we played different concerts, live gigs here all around the Poland,
yeah,
and we played in different situations and directions and in
yeah,
different places. For example, there were festivals, city festivals, concerts in the cultural centers.
yeah.
Also, it was, for example, in the very famous club of Blue Note,
Blue Note.
and the
Yes.
live
Yeah.
interview for the and concert for radio emission. After we had concerts also as well in chamber
Yeah.
atmosphere for our friends, and also we had concerts in big palaces, you know.
I know.
Yes,
Listen,
so
listen now. Hold on, hold on. I heard about this. You did a concert in a palace. You were invited by the city council or city sort of government to play, and I saw it online. It was really, really cool. How did that happen?
that opportunity, um, if I understood you rightly,
Mm.
you asked me about our award, yes?
Yeah.
That we,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, we just continue to create in any
Yeah.
situations,
Yeah.
in any way. We continue to create, to play in for different audiences, and just we mm, we were very surprised that our activities
Yeah.
during the 1.5 year period during
Yeah.
lockdown were it took attention of the government of
Yes.
city of Poznań and of the city council of Poznań, and we get a winner in this award,
Yeah.
and get for continue in recording our music,
Recording music. Yeah.
music. Yes, and
It's
we
wonderful. It's wonderful. I was delighted when I saw online that you guys got invited to play and won the award because you deserve it. And you are probably the one act that has been on Friday Night Live, and I've seen you on many other platforms as well. You guys are growing and growing and growing all the time. You're getting bigger and bigger, but you're still the same. You don't change, and I like that. and I
Thank
hope
you.
I do wish you all the success. I know you. I just know you guys are. You're going to be like much bigger even again because you're just honest and you do your thing and your performances are amazing. And could you tell us? Because I know I asked you this in the first interview. Your instrument that you play, so the horn that you play, because
Yes,
just in
yes.
case anybody that didn't see the first interview, yeah, tell us about this. Wow. So what is this instrument?
This is the real horn, and this is called shofar,
Yeah,
and this is biblical instrument,
yeah,
which very often is mm, you, you, it is was used in different situation,
yeah,
and
yeah,
in such way as we use this instrument, it is very our specific way in using of this
yeah.
instrument,
It's your
because
sound. It's your sound. It is definitely.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, it is. It become a big part of our sound, and
absolutely.
we are very honored that we have that ideas
Yeah,
to
it's
to
to be
continue and
yeah,
develop the sound
and
in our
and be
project.
different. Yeah, and be different and different. Nothing else is out there like you guys. And I must say, I need to pay big compliments to Evgeny for his guitar playing on Shine. It is
Oh,
amazing, amazing, and his guitar playing and his arrangement, the way because I know he arranges a lot of the drums and the bass and the music that goes with the song. But he's just amazing, and I don't know if he's there. Is if he can put his face in or not? Is he with you there, or is he?
he is in this apartment, but far from, and I
Okay,
think that
yeah, he's busy.
he
He's
just
busy.
hear
Okay.
us,
Well, you
and
say hello to Evgeny. Say hello to Evgeny from Friday Night Live, and keep playing the guitar like that because it's absolutely fabulous to hear him what he can do and the way he puts things together. It's amazing. It really
yes,
is.
surely I will tell him about
Please do, please do. Do
your
you
wishes.
have do you have any plans to come to Ireland or the UK?
Um, yes, sure. And
Mm,
our first step in
maybe 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 Limerick, maybe Limerick. You never
in
know.
arriving to Ireland or UK is to play on Friday night live.
Yes. Wouldn't that be amazing to have Nata and Evgeny live on the sofa? Now that is a goal. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. So
Yeah,
because you can book Ryanair, it's cheap, and you can get to Ireland, no problem. And we could have
you
vodkas
know,
and play music.
Dave, we all that we do in our development, we
Mm,
do by ourselves.
yeah,
I write text, Yevgen write music.
yeah,
We always are in looking for new something in new material,
yeah.
and also I managed all negotiation by myself.
Yes,
And we will be very thankful for everyone who would
yeah,
like help us to
yeah,
came any country and to
yeah.
play live gigs
Live.
in that
Yeah.
country. So
Well, yeah.
welcome.
Well, you look, the Friday Night Live here and me. I do all my negotiations and I do everything myself. And of course, we could help you to get to Ireland. And of course, there are venues here in Limerick. We have Dolan's Warehouse. We have super super venues here and in Dublin and all over Ireland. And we could arrange something. You could come over and play a few gigs. That would be cool. So we will do that. And New Year's Eve when we do the big Friday Night Live, if you're free as well, we'll try and get you on that show too because there'll be a lot of people watching as well. So it'll be great fun.
We also wish you have a big success in your area, and it is really fantastic work that you did and what you continue to do
Thank you.
in development and in presenting artists and musicians and poets from all around the world. And really, we appreciate your work and wish you have a really big success in this area.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, uh,
Yeah.
do we have opportunity in time to play something, a little piece of our music now,
Ye-
or what do you think?
well, let's do it now. Let's do it now. I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to play live or not, so we'll go straight for it. Can you do something? Can you do something
Yes,
now for us?
uh, we didn't. Uh, we didn't have the rehearsal before,
That's
so
okay.
it will
That's
be
good.
something in
I
spontaneously.
never, I never rehearse, Nata. I don't rehearse, so don't worry about it. I don't
Yes,
either.
and we don't know how it will be sound in
Well,
this
you sound good. You
situation.
sound you sound good now. So let's see what happens.
Yes, here we.
So
Uh-huh.
this is your new song. So what is this called, Nata?
This song is called "You Feel."
You feel. I
Uh,
love it.
yes, I hope you will play it and it will be
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Okay. In your own time, Nata and Evgeny in Poznan in Poland. You feel the new song. I can't wait to hear this. Go for it, guys. When you're ready.
When you feel the wind, yeah, fly. Every moment says go. If you feel the wind, yeah, smile. And there is so much more. Night will reach for the stars of any shade. Try to take a trip down Melody Lane. Your eyes are full of breaking love. Your heart is out on this world. And you give me a reason to lie. And you are like a ray of sunshine. And I'm waiting for you're gonna come, you're gonna keep us. If you feel the wind, yeah, fly. Every moment says go. When you see the light, yeah, smile. And there is so much Try to take a trip down melody rain. Try to take a trip down of any shade.
Wow.
Thank you.
That
And
is amazing, amazing, amazing. I know it's
thank
difficult.
you very
It's
much.
difficult. It's difficult over the internet to get it 100% clear at times, but we could hear it. We could hear it, and it was really, really good. I love that. That's very. I see that on a movie. I can see that for sure as a movie soundtrack. It would work very, very well. James Bond, maybe the next James
James,
Bond.
James
What do you
Bond.
think, guys? Nata and Evgeny,
Maybe,
James Bond.
maybe we would like.
Yeah, that would be cool. I could see you guys fitting in really well there. Absolutely. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for braving the electricity and braving everything and joining us again on Friday Night Live. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you guys.
Best wishes from Nata and Evgeny for Dave Morrissey and Friday Night Live show. Bye
Thank
bye.
you so
Best
much.
wishes.
Thank you
Bye
so much,
bye.
Nata. Thank you. Take care. Bye, guys. Well, that's just it. I mean, that's just it. That's the reason I do this is for those kind of moments to introduce you to something totally different, something totally new, and just get it out there. Why not? What are the chances that on a Friday night you could tune into somebody's living room in Poznan in Poland and listen to super music like that? Nata and Evgeny, check them out online. They've got YouTube, they've got Facebook, they've got SoundCloud, they've got all the usual platforms. And the single that I played earlier on was Shine, which is on YouTube. I love it. And that is You Need, the brand new song. So go listen to Nata and Evgeny, Nata Evgeny. Go find them online, guys. You will become a fan instantly. Now, I'm going to move on because we're a little bit behind time. Only a small bit, and I want to make sure I don't lose too much time. So I'm going to go straight to my next guest, who it is my absolute pleasure and honor to have on Friday Night Live. Every now and again, somebody like this agrees to come on the show, and when I send a message out and I go, yes, wow, I'm delighted, this is going to be good, it's going to be wonderful, because I just love this guy and everything he does. So straight to it, this is Roddy Clare, who you might know from KCLR in Kilkenny on the radio. He has the Irish Music Show, which has become synonymous now with Irish music and everything that is new and developing and anything that matters basically on the scene. But also there's many other things that he does. His involvement with the Vibe for Philo and Thin Lizzy and all that down through the years has been a wonderful thing to witness. I've witnessed it myself on occasion and all that stuff. So we're going to go straight to Roddy now in Waterford and say hello. Roddy, how are you?
How do I live up to an introduction like that, David? Thank you very much indeed. How are you?
You don't have to live up to anything, my friend. You do not, because you just do it. You do it, and I don't big anybody up on the show here. There's no point. It is what it is. Your contribution, in my opinion, to the music scene in this country is just phenomenal. It really is, and I wanted to ask you straight up from the beginning. What is behind your desire and absolute love for Irish music? I mean, your support is unbelievable.
Well, at the risk of boring people who know me really well, and because they know exactly what I'm going to say. What got me started with Irish music was Thin Lizzy. way back when I was about 11, 12, 13 or thereabouts, I came across them via my brother, who was kind of doing a cull of his record collection. And he said, do you want these? And he gave me a copy of Shades of a Blue Orphanage, which was their second
Wonderful.
album.
Yeah.
And I listened to it, and I mean, at the age I was at then, I mean, even now when I think back on it, how did I get so intrigued by this band? But I think the fact that they were Irish in the first place intrigued me. And then I listened to them, and I looked at the photographs. I didn't really know they were Irish particularly that well. I didn't know anything about the band. I think it wasn't too long after that then that there was something on television and blow me down. I said, oh, that's the band that my brother gave me their music from. And then to find out that the singer was not only black, but a Dublin man with a thick Dublin drawl. I was just hooked in, and I was hooked into his lyrics. I was hooked into everything about that he wrote about. And from that, then I got to thinking, oh, if that's what's out there at the moment, I wonder, are there any other Irish bands out there? And Irish wise. So I became very aware very quickly of, Dr. Strangely Strange and Mushroom and all of those bands from back in those early days. Yeah, and I was just intrigued by them. And as the years went on, then if you skip forward a few years when I got involved in radio, I thought, well, again, it goes back to Phil. He whenever he came home to Ireland, would always make sure that wherever he was playing, he would try at least do his best to include an Irish band as a support. He could have had the pick of the Irish. Probably the pick of the UK bands or whatever to bring over, but no, he decided to as much as he could, and so I thought that was great. So how could I apply that to radio? So I would play Thin Lizzy, obviously, and back in those days, in the pirate radio days, Irish music was slim pickings. Really, you had U2, the early U2, you had Van, you had Horselips, the Bothy Band, Planksty, and mixing all those. But I was more interested, as you well know, I was more interested in the rock indie side of things. I have absolutely nothing against the trad or the folk or the country, even for that matter. It just wasn't my bag a lot of the time. So I tried to apply that into radio and right, okay, we're playing all the big hits of the day. Let's throw an Irish one in there as well. And eventually I ended up doing a program on a Saturday afternoon, would you believe, called Kissing the Blarney. Which was,
who was that with? Who was that with, Roddy?
That was, oh gosh, let me think now. I started with a radio station called Sureside Radio, and then I moved to
Sureside,
Sureside, Then I moved to ABC Radio, which for me was the best years of my radio life. Absolutely. Really? I mean, these guys came over from England and they just took over. They were amazing. What intrigued me about them, Dave, was it was all about the music. And we were hearing music. I mean, Steely Dan was the first time I ever heard them was via that radio station on my own program, if you like. Somebody said to me, here, try Steely Dan. And they were never heard of over here. Well, they were, obviously, but in pockets. So the guys had great contacts with people in America who would send them over imports and whatever, and we were playing music way before any other radio stations. So it was intriguing stuff. And as I say, the Irish program was then kind of not so much frowned upon, but it was almost sneered at. It was almost laughed at. You can't do an hour of Irish music. God, these bands are rubbish and all the rest of it. But they weren't. There were some. Okay, yes, some of them weren't. Well, they weren't rubbish, but they weren't. I never regard a band as rubbish. Anybody who takes time and trouble to send me a tape, as it was then, or a CD now, or even an MP3 download these days, if they take me the time and trouble, I owe it to them to listen to it. Because they've taken the time, and it all starts from small acorns. But we had an hour-long program called Kissing the Blarney. It was sneered at and laughed at, but I was doing it, and it sounds terribly precocious of me, but I was doing it long before anybody else was doing it. Now everybody does Irish programs. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's great.
There is a lot, there is a lot of it out
there. And that's a good thing. It can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I think of, I suppose, Dave Fanning, for example, and then of course the wonderful Tom Dunn. When Tom Dunn was on doing his Pet Sounds on Today FM, it was just a super program. And then getting on to who else kind of, there's so many people that kind of delve into it. Ed Smith, he was on the program here on Friday Night Live a good while back, and he dipped in and out as well. So there's a lot of people kind of trying it, but they don't. Tom Dunn's kind of reign came to an end, and Paul McClune, another great radio presenter, his tenure came to an end there recently on Today FM, which was an awful shame in my opinion. And then I think there's yourself down in Kilkenny, KCLR, and doing the Irish Music Show, and it has longevity. I mean, the show is, constant.
43 years and counting.
Wow.
That's between KCLR, WLR here in Waterford, ABC, and Sureside. I mean, I suppose really, I was trying to tie it down not so long ago. I think it was around about 1983. I started doing an Irish program in earnest. And it just grew from there. And as I mentioned a moment ago, it was not so much frowned upon, but it was sort of never really taken too seriously. And it took a long time, really. And even now, today, sometimes it's not as bad now because people are starting to wake up to Irish music a lot more than they used to do. They're listening a lot more. And I suppose a lot of that's got to do with a lot of the bands that are around at the moment. They're much more technically better musicians, singers. Not that the people back then weren't, but maybe the technology has helped a little bit.
I think you've hit the nail on the head right there. It's the technology and it's the production. It's the production side of things. And when I think back to like the 80s and 90s, because playing gigging myself for so long and stuff, we didn't have access to great stuff. No matter how hard we tried to make a good demo, as we call it in the day, to send to yourself or people in radio or media.
It was difficult.
Really, it was. The quality just was never up there. I mean, we looked at the UK or the States, whatever, and they were just banging out amazing stuff. Quality.
The flip side of that, Dave, then is it's not a complaint either. But since lockdown, since the pandemic hit last year, obviously, as you well know, musicians have been just decimated. I mean, there was careers went out the window like that. Whereas people like myself who work on radio, we managed to keep going one way or the other. I mean, I'm still on, thankfully. But a lot of the bands that I would deal with, I mean, and you'd feel for them. You really would feel from. You can hear the pain. You can read their pain in an email. How they're trying to survive. And what's happened now, I have found, is that I have a 2-hour program once a week, and it's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. The amount of music that's coming through, and I'll take the opportunity on this platform with you to say to any of the acts listening out there who have sent me stuff and I haven't played them yet, please bear with me. You can't play everything every time, and you've tried to get that balance right. But I do my best on it. So much so that I'm thinking of maybe redoing or starting up another podcast. We spoke about this, you and I, earlier.
Great idea.
I'll see how it goes. But the point I'm getting to is that a lot of these acts, a lot of artists, new and old, have found themselves suddenly with all of this time on their hands. And the plus side of it is that for younger bands in particular, they've honed their skills in the studio and their songwriting skills. And that will go right across the board, I would think, with older bands and newer bands. With the end result now that I'm getting a tsunami of music being sent in. Practically, I could do a 6-hour long program and not repeat.
I can imagine because I know myself, having spoken to different friends of mine and that are in all sides of the business, and the creativity, the levels of creativity, because we have been decimated, and let's face it, we have been. But there's a lot of good music about to hit the airwaves, in my opinion.
Big time.
What do you think about the new initiative, the Irish Music Month that's on? I don't know if you're doing it.
Well, yeah, we are indeed. In fact,
what do you think?
I had to.
It's
great.
It's going to be a good thing.
It's good because it will give a lot of possibly unknowns an opportunity to get their music heard by not just the likes of me, but also by station bosses who might have been a bit slow to put them on primetime programs. And even if they don't, there is, any kind of, I know it's that old cliche that any promotion is good promotion, as you get your name out there. The problem, I think, though, Dave, is that we are now in a situation where we have a glut of artists that we just, for such a small country, we've always managed to turn out some great acts, but a lot of acts who could be really good are getting swept under the radar. Not because they're bad, but simply because there just is not enough airtime. And there's only so many hours in any radio presenter's program, and only so many times that you can. I mean, what really frustrates me most is if I get a song, say from Dave Morrissey, I say, right, Dave, I'll have it on the program next week, and I'll let you know because you can get it out on your socials and what have you. Then I can only play your song once Not that I don't want to play it again. Of course I do, but
Yeah,
the
but
next batch kind of comes in.
can't
Whereas
play
back,
it. You can't.
whereas back about 10 years ago, I could play Dave Morrissey this week, next week, and the following week.
Yeah.
I used to have a thing years ago called the MySpace Top 5. Do you remember MySpace?
Oh, yeah.
Which was very
Great
popular, but
MySpace.
it meant I could repeat those songs almost for about a month. I can't quite do that the same way unless the song is exceptionally good. And even then, that usually what tends to happen with me, I find, is that if I play a song that's exceptionally good, it gets picked up by the radio station and indeed other radio stations via their presenters, and it gets daytime airplay. That's my job done. Dave Morrissey, great. Okay, move on. Now he's getting more major airplay. So I've done my job and helped you up that ladder a little bit. After that, it's up to you, you know.
Yeah. I do. I have to say, I never understood the inside of radio as much until I started doing this, to be quite honest. I started doing this. Now I feel
not as easy as it looks, is it?
it's not as easy as it looks. And it's also tough because I get a lot of submissions into the show here, a lot, and sometimes you can't get around to them quick enough. And I feel awful because being a musician myself, I know what that feels like. And then if I don't get around to something quick enough, or it gets, as you say, swept aside.
Well, you take your situation then and what you get submitted to you and apply that to me and people like me and what the amount of submissions we get, and then take it up a notch further to the Tom Dunns and the Dave Fannings of this world, how many they must be getting in a given week, or even publications like Hot Press and what have you. You know?
I can imagine.
Difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. It's very difficult. But look, there is resilience with Irish musicians. That's one thing I've seen throughout.
But the Irish Music Week is good. You know, it's a good thing.
I think it will be a
Irish
good thing.
Month, sorry.
Yeah, I think it will be good. I've entered it. I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? You might as well see what happens.
I'll watch out for it. So
watch out for the correct. But listen, slight tangent. Your involvement, not only with the Vibe for Philo and Phil Lynott and all that, but also your involvement with Phil Lynott and Philomena and Smiley, who was on the show here about a month and a half ago, and the family, we could call them the Vibe family or whatever we want to call them. How did that come about that you got involved in that so much? Because you're quite a big player in the Vibe. You have been one of the mainstays,
Well, like many other people, you know, when Phil died, you know, Phil to me was my ultimate hero. You can probably see some of the stuff behind me. This room is a dent in. I can't show you the rest of it, but it's bedecked everywhere around me here. It's all Phil stuff, and again, it's because I just loved his. I loved the music, obviously, but it's the lyrics and the imagery that his lyrics conjured up in my head, especially as a young lad, and I just kept with him as he went along. But when he died, then I think the first Vibe I was at, I'm going, what's 36 is the one coming up in January. I've been at, I think it's 33 of them. Yeah. That's every year, never, ever missed one. And I just started going along as a fan, as a supporter. We don't call ourselves fans, by the way. We're all supporters because Phil was a football supporter, and he likened followers of the band to followers of a football club. They support the band, and he was always very good with his fans and his supporters. But I started going along to them, and as years went on, I got to know Smiley a little bit. And I got to know Philomena. That's a whole other different story of how I got to know her. And I just sort of, for want of a better word, I wriggled my way in. And because of I do what I do with regard to radio and presenting, and I do a lot of MC work here as well. I offer my services. Look, and it was always a running joke between myself and Smiley. He would often say, "You're my second-hand man." He said, "If anything happens to me, he says, you take over. The show must go on." Yeah. And more and more down the years, I got more and more involved, and I wouldn't say I'm one of the main players. Smiley still calls the shots for the most part, but I'm just there just to help out, because I don't know about you, Dave, but concerts sometimes I prefer to be behind the scenes. I love the buzz backstage and what goes on backstage and all of that, and particularly when it comes to the likes of the Vibe. Once you've heard one tribute band, you've heard them all. They'll all kill me now for saying that, but you understand what I mean. There are some bands who I still go out front to watch because they're just so exciting, and I give a shout out to the Low Riders while I'm here. They're
Yeah.
amazing. Absolutely. They now play with Brian Downey as Brian's Alive and Dangerous.
Live and Dangerous, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and so I just kind of got more and more involved, and as time went on, a couple of years back, Smiley wasn't too well, so I took over towards the end of the night and kind of went from there. And then last January, obviously we didn't have a Vibe, but we did have a virtual one. As for this coming January, don't know yet. I can't really say anything because I simply just don't know, and we're trying to decide and see what way things pan out with the whole bloody pandemic, you know.
Well,
Oh, I
speaking
should
of-
see that coming.
I
Hello
should
to
let you
Avril.
know-
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
should
see
let you know
that coming up there.
Avril is here, and she's a great supporter of Friday Night Live here as well, and a good friend as well. And of course, you know Avril as well from the Vibe and stuff.
I do indeed, and Avril actually, she's a good friend, and the funny thing about her was that she'd be mortified now. I think how she ended up going to the Vibes was we were talking online via one of the forums, and I said to her, "You should go into the Vibe sometimes." Actually, I don't know anybody there. You know me. Come on down, and she did with her sister, and she's been going ever since.
Brilliant.
Just keep well away from her when she's had a few gins.
yeah.
I'm dead
Good
now, you know.
advice. Good advice. Yeah. Well, listen, be all right. We have the after show party. We can iron all that out there.
Oh, God. Yeah, they've been
Listen,
some down the
look,
years.
I was so lucky to be involved in the running back Vibe, where I got to do some acoustic stuff.
Just a few years back now.
Few years back now, and I remember jumping up and doing She Knows and Old Town acoustically, and it was just such a buzz just to be there. The whole vibe of it was just, pardon the pun, was just wonderful. And of course, Smiley, great guy, and everything organized and arranged. I got the gig pretty quickly once he kind of had listened to what I was doing, and he's great that way. There was no messing with him. If he likes it, he likes it. And if he doesn't, and he tells you straight, and I do like that about him.
And Philomena was always a great support of it as well, because she always liked the fact that, you know, Philip's memory was being kept alive and being kept. And for anybody who doesn't know, they might think, Phil Lynott, he's dead now, he's gone. You have to really attend a Vibe to understand what the Vibe is all about. The atmosphere, as you testified to, it's just incredible. It's just, there's a buzz there, and you mentioned it earlier on. You alluded to the family, and I mean, there's so many people that I've met via the Vibe, and I've often said to my dear wife, God love her, that if we ever decided to go on a world trip, we could have gone anywhere in the world and be given a bed, no problem. Like, I have friends in Japan, in Australia. There's one girl called Julie, who arrived over to Ireland for the Vibe at the turn of the millennium. And here she was, 27, 28 years of age, standing on the Halfpenny Bridge at midnight in Dublin, New Year's Eve. A brave lady, if ever there was one. And Philomena ripped into her and gave out terrible, give her a hard time for that, and rightly so too. But, you know, there's a bit of naivety there, perhaps. But anyway, that's, you know.
But people do come from all over, like really.
Oh, yeah.
I was astounded by that when I was there myself. And I actually, as a teenager, I went to some of the first Vibes as well. And I shouldn't have been in there, by the way, but I went anyway, and I was brought along with a few of the older lads. And I remember it on Sides and Dame Street and various different venues like that. And they were quite small. I mean, they were very intimate at the time. And I remember Eric Bell actually getting up and playing at them and not knowing who he was at all myself. And later on, of course, discovering, wow, okay, this guy, now I know all about him and what he is. And
we had Sinead O'Connor did one. We had Elvis Costello did one. This is going back way back in the very early days when they were relatively small. It really wasn't until the 10th anniversary when they brought that to the point, the 3 Arena that it is now. And you had the likes of Henry Rollins and Def Leppard. And what a gig that was. I mean, Henry Rollins was an animal. And absolutely, did we at that gig?
I was, and
he was.
I have to say, I'm a big fan of Def Leppard as well, and Joe Elliott.
Yeah, well, Joe was very good friends with the band, with Scott in particular. So that's how they would have ended up playing at that, you know. And that was a great gig. And from then they were much bigger affairs after that, and right through the 90s and into the early 2000s. Boy, there were some great nights in Dublin. I mean, I'm hard pressed to remember a lot of them, you know, and they were all night parties. And when I say all night, I mean all night into the early morning. I couldn't do it.
I know, it's amazing. But listen, before I do finish up with you, I really just wanted to mention, I suppose, as well, on another tangent, but and pay tribute to the wonderful Margaret, your wife, who we lost in 2019. And I had reached out to you and paid condolences online. But I wanted to kind of mention it, I suppose, mention her just on the show tonight, and just to say to you, you know, I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you're getting through your days and everything since. It was a tough time, I can only imagine, and I don't mean to press
No, it's okay, and I appreciate, Dave. Thank you very much. And I think I mentioned to you before that if I was doing this now with you a year ago or a year and a half ago, I wouldn't be able to do it with you.
Yeah.
It's still very painful. Obviously, it's only 2.5 years since she died. It was cancer, and it was all very sudden and all the rest. And you know, it knocks you. It actually, that's an understatement. It floors you. But I was very lucky to have been married to this woman for 29 years. And like, we were no different than any other married couple, really. You know, we had our good days and our bad days, but we were together 29 years. So, I mean, we were meant to be at that time. And the one thing I've learned, although it's not so much learned, I kind of knew it in the immediate aftermath, but it took me about a year to perhaps really come out of the. But she would have kicked my backside if I had allowed myself to go down to that deep pit of despair. And I knew that myself, and difficult and all as it is, but you know, you got to carry on, and it's just it's a pain. It's a pain. God, it's very hard for me to describe, Dave, unless anybody out there, any man out there who's been through the pain of losing a wife or a girlfriend or just a close partner will understand where I'm coming from. But yeah, you got to keep going. And I'm very lucky in that I've met a lot of people who were incredible support. And this is where the internet came into its own. And I would say to any man out there, reach out to your friends, because, you know, I cried buckets, and I still do on occasion. It's not as bad as it was then. I've accepted it, and I've had a lot of support from people like yourself across the internet. I want to say hello to Liz, by the way.
Absolutely.
She knows what I mean by that. And I say no more. But to any man out there at the moment, I was very lucky that I had the support of a local cancer care centre here by the name of Solace, who I had counselling with them. And it was Margaret who encouraged me to take that counselling. Any guys out there, we as fellows, you put two women together who are in crisis, and they will talk it out over a cup of coffee. They may not solve it, but they will come away from it feeling better.
They will talk about it, yeah.
Two men will talk about football, drinking, music, sex, not necessarily in that order, but you know, they'll skirt around the issue.
It doesn't get addressed. It doesn't get addressed.
No, exactly. And I was and I won't drag on too much about it, but I met there was one man in particular who had lost his wife a couple of years beforehand. So he understood and he empathized with me exactly how I was feeling. I mean, I have two sons and Margaret's extended family, and we all had a tough year that year. There was another family member, a close family member, who also died as well. And it's taken us all quite some time to kind of settle down and get to things. But I would encourage any man out there to seek out someone.
I like to talk. And I like when we were talking during soundcheck earlier on, and you said that to me as well when I asked you about, you know, could I speak about Margaret briefly, and you said no problem and all good, and I was delighted because I really wanted to, I suppose, just mention her name, but also you said to me just as important about men's feelings and how important that is, and I think it's a good subject to talk about. Yeah, it's something.
Well, this is the first time that I've spoken on an open public forum like this about her. Not that I didn't want to beforehand, but it's such a personal thing, and I know, you know, we can't do anything. I mean, cancer is such a scourge on life. I mean, you talk COVID to me was a doddle. Do you understand me? You know, I mean, COVID helped me in many ways, in that the world stopped and I stopped with it, and it gave me time to and I walk an awful lot, and I did a lot of walking, and still do. But in those days, in those early days after she died, I walked my legs off, and the poor dog didn't know what was going on, you know. But again, I would just say anybody, man, woman, anybody who's been through any kind of a trauma, if you just get out walking, you don't have to think about anything. Just go and clear your mind.
It is a great thing. I agree. I do it myself. I think it's a brilliant thing to just empty your mind and don't actually think. Try to reverse. I think sometimes try not to think too much.
But talk. I just think talk about the person that died. Don't bottle it up. If you bottle it up, it just makes things worse. It's not easy to talk about them. Yeah. But if you, how many of my friends watching or listening in at the moment who will have heard me go on and on and on, but in credit to them, they gave me the space and they gave me the opportunity to just rattle on and on. I mean, talk about stupid stuff half the time, you know, but and I still do. I mean, I'm very lucky that there's another person who's in my life at the moment who listens and understands.
Yeah.
And that is very important to me as an individual, to me as a man, to me as me, Roddy. And radio has also, and music has also. Did you know, Dave, that after she died, for about 3 weeks, I would not listen to music.
Really?
Not one single note. Even the birds in the trees drove me nuts.
My God.
And I wanted peace and solitude. I needed to step back. But then I went back into it big time. And and it has, I won't say it saved my life. That's very dramatic, but music has been a savior.
It is a savior, Roddy. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I know in times myself, and I'll be straight with you, and I've said it before during some of the lives that I've done here, that there's been weeks during even the pandemic and the lockdown where I've gotten quite depressed myself over just the whole bloody thing and the music and everything stopping and stuff, but only for it. God knows.
It does. It heals everything. You'll always find that helps,
Yeah, you find something in it. You do. But listen, God be good to Margaret, and it was important to mention her, and I'm glad you spoke to me.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, I was just,
but we're okay. We're okay. And life's going, and that's what she wants us to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm delighted to see you back in the saddle doing what you do and keeping the programs coming, because it's very important for the scene in Ireland, in my opinion.
Well, there's plenty out there like me that do it, and I would just say to anybody watching at the moment, support your Irish acts, support Irish acts as much as you possibly can. Okay, not all of them are brilliant, not all of them are going to be brilliant, but they're all have the potential to be brilliant.
Yeah. And
I think that's the most important thing. And I'm glad you didn't ask me who's my favorite band, because that's Sophie's choice.
Well, before you go, there was one question that Mikey wanted to know, and I hadn't thought about it, so I should ask him this. What is your favorite Lizzie/Philo song that stands out?
I'm asked that a lot, and it's I'll give you a very quick explanation as to why. The favorite album is Vagabonds of the Western World.
Wonderful.
And from that, it's also my favorite album cover. I'm a big fan of Jim's work, and Jim is a good friend, and he's been very kind to me.
Patrick, of course, yeah.
There's another man for you to interview, and he's laid up with the hip operation at the moment. He'd bring him on.
We'll have to give him a shout. So catch him.
Do so. And my favorite track then it's also from that album is The Hero and the Madman, and I tried to figure why that particular song was my favorite, and it goes back to what I mentioned earlier on. The very first time I saw them live, I was 13 years of age, I think it was. I ran out of the back of my house. My mother told me I couldn't go see them because I was 2 years in Kenny. And I snuck out. I thought it was late, only about 8 o'clock. I got the Carton Ball in Kenny. Couldn't get in, but climbed in through the toilet window. Subsequently lost my footing. Ended up with a foot in the bowl. And the bouncer came in and found me, and I begged and pleaded with him to let me see the band. And all I can remember, Dave, of that particular gig was this sea of heads, that purple haze. God knows what was in the purple haze, but Philip's silhouette, and they were singing Hero and the Madman. And I think that's why it sticks in my brain. And I got lucky one year at the Vibe to actually perform that. I did the narration that Kid Jensen does at the beginning.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
So that was great fun. And but I could name all the other albums as well, but that one's the album that stands out as being very special to me.
Well, Kevin Casey. I thought it was Mikey, actually, because I have a Mikey here on.
I know Kevin, yeah.
You know Kevin, and so Kevin's like, agreed, great album, absolutely great album.
That's a different era, of course. It's the Eric Bell era, and then later on you had the 4-piece lineup, and then later on you had John Sykes and all the rest of it. But that era, Eric Bell to me is he's an amazing player and a lovely man. As you probably gathered as you met him.
Yeah, he is. He is a fabulous. And I'm currently, I suppose, in hot pursuit of himself too for the show here. I'd love to get him on.
I don't think he'd have any problem,
Yeah, I think he'd be a wonderful guest. He's got a lot of good stuff to talk about. But I love all the Lizzie stuff. I've grown to love everything, every guys and every lineup, and I love the whole Snowy White kind of, that sort of thing where people came in, kind of cameoed in and out. And of course,
that was more necessity than anything else, because it all kind of went a bit pear-shaped, really, for a while. But but hey, that's the stuff of legend, really. Particularly, I'd love to be able to show you the rest of the room here, because I got loads of stuff around.
I can see some of it there. It looks fantastic. But
that was Philip's. There we go.
Show me.
Philip's. This
one.
Really?
Wow.
Philomena gave me a present of that years ago, so it never leaves my arm.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
unless my arm was cut off. But
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure having you on.
it's my
And,
pleasure to be here.
it was great to talk about everything, by the way, all things, Roddy, because as I said to you earlier on, it's not just about the radio and it's not just about the music and all that as well. It's just about everything, how you're doing, how you're getting on. It's great to see you back doing what you do anyway. That's what makes me happy to see. And everybody here has thoroughly enjoyed it. I know they have. We will keep tuning into the Irish Music Show, and people
Every Wednesday night, 10 o'clock.
Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, live, obviously, from KCLR. And then you can catch on. I've seen the show
I
on
usually
YouTube.
put a podcast up the following day up on my Facebook page, Facebook / Roddy Clear, or Mixcloud. It's on Mixcloud as well.
Yeah.
And I always tag anybody, any acts that I play, I always tag them so they know that they've been played on the radio. What they do with that is entirely up to themselves, but it's just my way of look, lads, you have been played on the radio. It may only been once, and I may never play you again. But you know, you do what we can really
nice.
with what we have.
I do it. I do the same here, Roddy. After the show, I do a singular photo of everybody and tag them so they just know, look, you were here, you've been a guest, and it has happened. I think that's important. It really is to recognize everybody. Thank you so much, my friend. I'm delighted.
Welcome.
I'm absolutely delighted to have had you on the show. I really am. And sit back and relax now. And we've
congratulations with this show, by the way. It's really good. I wasn't hugely aware of it. I've seen one or two of them, but I kind of tuned in a bit more to it over the last couple of days when I knew it was coming on. So well done to you. And you know, it's your own little way of doing, giving a bit of Irish or music in general, but Irish in particular, a bit of a leg up as well. And it all helps.
Yeah, I think it does. I'm starting to see that now. It does actually help. And little things I would have took for granted, just being a musician and gigging and stuff, I don't take them for granted anymore because every little bit does help, for sure.
Could talk to you forever.
I could talk to you forever. You know, there's loads of stuff we could talk about, Roddy. There's loads of stuff.
Well, we'll do it another time, maybe.
You might come back. You come back to us before Christmas, hopefully, and we'll organize something if you're free. Something that'd be great, and we'll try the other selection of subjects we can get into.
Yeah.
Until then, kick back and relax, my friend, and enjoy. We've 2 more guests coming up anyway, and we'll chat to you again soon.
All right, Dave. Thanks a million, and take care, everybody watching.
Thank you very much, Roddy. Roddy Clear, what a legend, in my opinion. I know he probably wouldn't like me to call it. He might like the word legend, but I call him a legend in music circles. And as a musician myself, and any of my colleagues and friends would certainly refer to Roddy as a legend and of legendary status because of his support and help to so many numerous acts from the country here. So check him out, Irish Music Show on Wednesdays on KCLR, and his Facebook page as well. He puts up the recordings of the show after, and I think I've seen a good few recordings of the Irish Music Show on YouTube as well, and he can verify that. If you want to put a link up or anything, Roddy, you can find lots of the shows on YouTube. I found loads of them. I really enjoyed listening back to them, and you can see some of the interviews as well that he used to do way back when people would come into the studio, as I did one time, and really enjoyed it. Okay, so moving on. I want to move on. We're conscious that we're a little bit behind, but it's not too bad. I don't mind falling behind. That means the conversation is good. So I'm going to introduce you to the first really ever producer to come on Friday Night Live, because I've had mainly musicians and the arts and all that stuff, and we are trying to broaden the spectrum of backgrounds on the show, so it's not just simply music. But my first producer is on tonight, and he is RMB composer, is what you find him online as, but it is none other than Michael Byrne, a good friend of mine from Dublin, and we've crossed paths in college and all that and done loads of stuff together, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But I want to show you his show reel as RMB composer, or RMB, from YouTube, and it's really cool. It'll give you an idea of what he does. He's composing stuff for different kind of genres like dance, film, advertisements, all that kind of stuff. As a musician, this is what he's branching into. So without further ado, this is R&B composer Michael Byrne, and this is the show reel, just to give you a quick idea of what he does.
just wanted to say that I'm not mad at you. I had a good life. Parents that love me, siblings. You did what you needed to do. And I know it was hard. So thank you. Thank you for doing what was best for me. I know it's because you love me.
Not for long.
No, it's not.
And there you go. All things R&B composer, or should I say, well,
Okay, we're going to
composer
get started.
or producer. He'll tell me what way I've got that, because sometimes I'm not sure what way to refer. So he's going to let me know. Here we go. Michael, how are you?
Good evening. How's it going?
I'm good, my friend. Tell me this and tell me no more. Composer or producer?
I don't know. I think they go a bit hand in hand. I put down composer most of the time, but then sometimes it's put down as producer. I'll take either.
Yeah.
Either's a compliment.
It's hand in hand, really, isn't it? Because I mean,
Yeah.
the composition begins and then the production is at the other end of it anyway.
Yeah.
You and I know each other, of course. We've met when I went back to college as a very mature student. And I had the nickname in BIM. They used to call me Father Morrissey for some reason.
We did
And that,
indeed.
of course, developed. And then I kind of became this priestly figure who everybody got to know for some reason. And I'm not religious at all. I don't know. Well, I'm a little bit religious, but not that much. But from them days in BIM, which is, if I recall, it was kind of 2016, 17, 18, when you and I
Yeah.
used to bump into each other and you were playing guitar and stuff. But we'll get back to that now in a minute. What's going on? How has this come? Because I didn't realize that you were actually doing this until I was chatting to my guest, Ali Clark last week, and
Yeah.
then she said to me, "Oh, Michael Byrne is doing all the music for my dance movements and the gigs," and I was like, "Really? This is very interesting." So, how have you morphed into this field of work?
Well, it kind of came at the end of when we were gigging. There was a bit of like, Ali had reached out to me, and I do remember it was kind of maybe we were still getting a little bit together, and yeah, I got this. Ali had reached out, and we hadn't talked in a few years, and she's like, "Oh, do you still play music?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still dabble, you know," and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, cool. I don't know any of the musicians right now. I need a bit of music for a dance performance." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I don't really write music. I definitely am not familiar with dance.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, look, it doesn't matter. Write something. There's a few quid in this. Here
See
you
what
go."
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did, and then I sent it off, and I kind of didn't hear anything for a while, and then I went back to my kind of gigging and playing guitar full time, and then I get another message being like, "Oh, do you want to do that again?" But like, there'd be like more, be a bit more work involved, a bit more production, a bit more time. I was like,
Cool.
"Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And it kind of just like I was still gigging, and I was still, but then this kind of opportunity to produce music kind of came around, and at the same time I was kind of studying that in college, so I was like, "Oh, cool, I get to take what I'm learning and put it towards
Yeah.
this." And I always had an interest in like film music and
Do the yeah.
soundtracking pieces, so I was like, "Oh, it'd be cool to kind of see how that's done." So yeah, I dived headfirst into the dance stuff, and then that blew up because Ali was like, "Yeah, now there's loads of funding. Do you want to come to the Netherlands and do it?" So yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it all came. Really, it all came from Ali.
Yeah.
She gave me an
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible opportunity. She reached out at the right time and gave me, she put an awful lot of trust in me, and she kind of gave me an opportunity to like follow a bit of a dream. Like I always wanted to know more and have a go at try my hand at film music
Yeah.
and production music. And yeah, she gave me an incredible opportunity.
Fair play. And for anybody watching that doesn't know Ali Clark,
Mm.
she is a wonderful, wonderful choreographer and dancer based in Bray, who is actually currently, I think when I was talking to her last, she was overseas.
Yeah,
And
she's in Portugal at the moment, I believe.
in Portugal, and she's doing a run of shows out there. But check her out, Ali Clark as well.
Yeah,
She
she's
has her own
fantastic.
pages and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, long story short, because of Ali and her wonderful faith that she had in you, you ended up kind of drifting into this.
Yeah.
Like, have you kind of fallen in love with it now? Like, do you think you're going to just really keep with this now? And
Yeah, well, this has been
your,
like,
your selection of stuff, by the way, on your show reel totally blew me away. Because 1 minute I'm looking at kind of movie soundtrack stuff, then I'm looking at kind of the obvious guitar playing that you do and the keyboards, and then I'm looking at a cookery ad. And I go,
Yeah.
what's
That
happening?
cookery ad actually for Ali's mum. She was running a cooking show over COVID. And
it's
that
great
was
though,
actually
isn't it? It's
yeah,
great.
no, it was. I just got lucky over COVID. It was all through dance stuff, and I wasn't touching any of this kind of recorded. Well, there was obviously it was recorded for the dance pieces, but I wasn't touching any of this like visual media stuff. And then
Yeah.
COVID came around, and I couldn't gig anymore. I couldn't fly over and perform this music,
Yeah.
and then that's when I
Yeah.
got this. I was kind of sitting there going like, "Oh, damn,
What am I
where do I
going to
go
do?"
now?"
Yeah.
I've built up this excitement of producing music, and now I can't do it. So I swapped that over and found a couple of lucky opportunities to do it for visual media. And the first one being Ali's mum, Neve. Again,
Yeah.
the family
Yeah.
giving me a great opportunity. She's like, "Oh, I have this cooking show, could do a little bit of music. Do you
Brilliant.
want to give it a go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then that just dominoed into somebody else is like, "Oh, I need a bit of music for a short film. I need a bit of music for this." So yeah,
Brilliant.
it's
Yeah.
been
It's
it's been
another,
a domino effect.
yeah, and like you say yourself, like, and I was just talking to Roddy Clear there, and we were saying
Mm.
about how we've been decimated, musicians, like during the pandemics, we really have, because everything stopped for us, like our world completely imploded there for a year and a half, 2 years. So yeah, we've all had to think outside the box, haven't we? Like, what can I do that, here, look at me, I'm here, I'm presenting a show, an online show. I never would have thought that this would be what I'd be doing, but I'm enjoying it thoroughly, and it's something new that I've always wanted to do myself. So it's great to see you doing something like what you're doing now with the production. Are you planning on sort of building it up as a solid full-time thing now? Like, is it going to be?
Yeah, I do it kind of hand in hand at the moment. I teach guitar as well.
Yeah.
But the production side, I think I've settled on that. I do want to eventually get back to gigging at some stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of heavily invested in this financially and time wise over
Okay.
COVID, and I was like, all right, I've dived into this now. So yeah, I do want to stick with it, and I have a couple of different bits and pieces coming up that will hopefully start to fund that as a bit more of a full-time
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because I
yeah,
can tell. I mean, I can tell. Look at looking at the show reel. I can tell you have invested heavily in it. I mean, you've got all the equipment, you've got the sound, you've got everything. Everything is there. And I know myself through music and been in college and stuff like that. And you can't buy this equipment for a couple of quid. Like
no.
it's not cheap. Yeah, and to give. If anybody was watching in say this evening that was interested in the world of production, because I love it. I find it's endlessly fascinating and interesting to hear about. Like, how would a young person, in your opinion, get into production? Like, is there a cheaper way to just get in
Yeah,
to dabble in it without spending a
yeah, for
fortune?
sure. I mean, like you can kind of invest in it as much as you want. I've gone over the top,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, you can step into it fairly cheaply. I mean, you know yourself, you can pick up an interface or a desk fairly
yeah,
cheap on Thomann or the likes, and then
yeah,
if you can get yourself a free audio software, and if you can sing, if you can play guitar, if you can play piano, I think you can start straight away, just something free, and start writing your own music, and then just layering ideas and
yeah,
reach out to people. I mean, that
yeah,
was my
yeah,
kind of way. Like I wasn't particularly well versed. I'd never composed a film or anything before, and I just reached out and said, "Hey, I see you've got a short film. Can I do it?" And there was a yes. I was like, "Okay, oh, now I've got to know
let's
like
let's
how do I?"
go
I
for
said
it.
I suddenly was reading books and like
Yeah,
cues and timing this up with this, and if an actor does this, maybe you should consider this. I think
yeah,
if you
yeah.
get yourself started with a bit of free gear and then throw yourself straight in, you'll teach yourself very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah, because I can imagine like it's tricky work, isn't it? Like it is tricky work. It's the complete opposite to writing songs and just
Yeah.
freely writing for yourself. This is like sort of choreographed music, isn't it? As
Yeah, I mean,
such.
it's a weird balance. I don't haven't quite found it's different for every project because some people come to you and like, here is the complete project. We're not going to
Yeah.
change it. This is what you've got, and you've got to make this fit. And then some people
Okay.
are like, okay, we want to know we want you to write music, and we're going to make that fit around your music. So like
Okay.
everybody kind of comes at me differently with it. And I'm like,
Different
oh, it's a
approach.
new challenge every time. And then some people are like, okay, we'll edit back and forth between ourselves, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
What
It's
what would you think about like the word producer is used
hmm,
quite loosely in music nowadays anyway, but like if you were to become or explore being a producer for in a studio for bands, would that
hmm.
interest you at all, where you would be like the fifth Beatle or whatever you want to call it, and you be in the background or at the other side of the glass as such, but throwing all the ideas at it? Would you like to do
Yeah,
something like that
I
as
mean,
well?
it's I do a teeny bit of it. I do a little bit of like a bit of mixing and a bit of engineering for a couple of people.
Yeah,
But yeah, I for a band for sure. Like I kind of I love my approach to this is I'm looking at it as sounds more so than like I don't think I'd write a great pop song, but I have sounds in my head. I'm like, oh, that could be cool if you added this in. So yeah,
yeah,
as a gift beat, if like someone was like, here's my song, like what do you think we could do with it? I love just sitting there being like, let's unbox all these sounds, all these synths and guitars and pedals and stuff, and yeah,
give it a
let's
go. Go for it. Yeah,
throw
yeah,
everything at
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of bands are using producers like in that role. A lot of bands, I know a lot of
Mm.
bands now that are in a more of sort of a modern twist with technology and stuff in Ireland. It's not your standard four-piece rock band anymore,
No.
and producers have been brought
I'd
in
have
a
a
lot.
fantastic choice. Yeah.
Yeah, and like yourself, like with the boot full of synthesizers and different things, because as a songwriter myself, I wouldn't think of the synth sounds or what works here. You're too busy writing the lyrics, aren't you? And you're engrossed in trying to get the
I
album
think that's
together.
kind of cool that, like, because that's the element I wouldn't be great. I wouldn't like, I mean, your tunes, like you just pick them up, you have your acoustic guitar and you bang out a tune. Like, I wouldn't get that, but I'm starting to
Yeah,
see I fall into this other side of it, or I feel I fall into this other side where I'm like, I could help accompany that. But,
yeah, yeah,
it's a nice relationship. You've got someone writing these songs and then someone maybe padding them out, and it's,
yeah.
back and
It's
forth
great.
dynamic between
It's a
that.
great relationship. It's brilliant. And as you just said there, the back and forth thing is wonderful
Mm.
too, because the internet is super now, isn't it? Like it's coming
Oh,
into its own now,
yeah.
like doing what we're doing right now, but also back and forth with music files and ideas, whatever it is. Like
Mm.
a lot of stuff has gotten made on the internet over the last year and a half,
And I think like
which
there's
is
been
very
so
cool.
much like everyone's found quick and easy resource. Like I was working with Mark, I don't know if you know Mark Redmond. He plays keys with Aslan at the moment.
Yeah, no, Mark.
Really,
Yeah,
really close friend. And oh, sure,
yeah,
you've opened for Aslan.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, Mark's a really, really close friend. And we just spent the entirety of lockdown just bouncing ideas back and forth, writing tunes together, writing kind of composer pieces together, just learning off each other. Me mostly learning
Brilliant.
from him. Like he's a veteran of the industry. He's incredible.
He is.
But
He
just it's
is.
how easy it is to send files and record
Yeah.
together. And yeah, it's fantastic.
There's no like there's no apprenticeship like that of like hanging out with somebody like Mark and just experimenting by sending files like that and learning, because that guy knows what he's doing, and he's been doing it for a long time, and there's nothing like it really. But I'm quite excited to see where you're going to go with this, because when I saw it for the first time, I wouldn't have known really that you were this much into it until I spoke to Ali and investigated a bit further. What's the plan like, or is there a plan for the end of this year into next year? Have you got a few things up your sleeve?
Yeah, there is.
Wise?
Yeah, no, I have I kind of spent a lot, like I've been very lucky with the projects I have found. It's extremely hard to find projects. There's a lot of composers, there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, I
I've
can
never
imagine.
come across a bad composer. They're all fantastic, and they all have this amazing, unique way of approaching things. So I've devised this plan over summer that I'm going to fund my own. Well, I'm going to seek funding for my own kind of project. It's not so hush at the moment. It's still very much in the planning stage. But I'm seeking funding at the moment for kind of a multimedia cross-disciplinary project of taking a book and kind of creating it into, not, I wouldn't say a musical, but the War of the Worlds musical from the 70s. It's coming from that perspective, where he's taken a book, he's developed an interesting kind of rock opera vibe off it. I want to bring this kind of idea of more of a cinematic opera, where it's a bit more modern sounding, a bit more Hans Zimmer, a bit more Trent Reznor kind of vibes to it. But yeah, that's where it's going at the moment.
All right.
It's
it's
a lot of paperwork at the moment, but yeah,
it's a lot. I'll tell you one thing, it's a lot of paperwork. It's also a lot of work.
I haven't even scratched the surface of the work. It's just a paperwork.
You're aiming high, my friend. Well, fair play to you. That's what it's all about. Why not? There's no point in half doing something if you're going to get into it. And the likewise, and I think it likes Hans Zimmer and people like that. Wow, like what influences they must be. For you. Tell me, RMB. I'm assuming I know two of the letters are obviously Michael Byrne, as I know you. What's the RMB all about?
The R is my middle name, which is Robin, and it just flowed better that way. I had MRB, and I just RMB flowed better. So yeah,
it does. Yeah. No, I like it. I like the logo, because when I went looking at it and looking for you, I was kind of going, I was putting the two together going, what's going on here? What's happening? I was thinking R for actually all day today and yesterday. I was going, what's the R? So I'm glad now I know. You've put me out of my misery.
There you go.
I wish you all the best with it. I really do. And I know when we were back in college, you jumped up on stage with me, and we had a great 6-piece band going 7-piece at one point, I think.
Yeah,
actually, there was almost 9 of us in one night, I think. And great times that we had, and we shall have a jam again at some point, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Down the road.
I do hope so. Some great
tunes there. I know that Dylan and she was there a minute ago, actually. Neve was there before I mentioned Dylan, I'm sure, but Neve is there, so they're watching it tonight. And all of us that were in that wonderful band in college with great times, great crack, and kudos to BIM, in fairness, as well. A great college
all together.
They've nurtured us all. The likes of me, who went back in my later days, and you guys who were at the right age to be there or whatever. But it was great crack, and it was a great melting pot. I would recommend it as somewhere for anybody to go. I think that is an interesting.
Just to make some fantastic connections.
Just make the connections. It kind of reminds me of Fame. Do you remember? I don't know. You remember you would say Fame back in the day on TV. It's like a modern day version of that. Like if you just went and used your head and met people, you'd be set up for life after a couple of years in BIM.
I think that's the most I took away from it. It's just the people you met. Like they're the ones that you learn off the most, and who you work with, gig with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important. I wish you all the best with everything, the composer / production, and of course the cinematic production. I think that's going to be amazing. Funding is something that's out there at the minute, to be honest, Michael. There's lots of it.
Yeah, there are some with our funding. So if anyone's looking for
funding, they are. They're funding people a lot, and I think what you're doing is different. And I think if it stands out, as you say, you have to think outside the box. You have to be different to every other producer / composer that's out there. And you're certainly thinking outside the box there, and you're aiming high. So
I think it's crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed it comes together.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll catch up at some point for a few jars down the road, hopefully, because of course we're not restricted that much anymore. So we'll meet up somewhere between here and Dublin. And best wishes to all the family and everybody up there, or anyone you're chatting to. Tell them Father Dave says hello and hands blessed.
I'll pass it all on.
Please do. Listen, thanks very much for coming on, Michael.
Thank you.
And best of luck with everything in the future.
Yeah, and absolutely. And we'll talk soon. Thank you very kindly.
Yeah. You're welcome. Chat to you later, man.
Bye.
So Michael Byrne in Dublin, if I recall correctly, around Dalkey in Dublin, I know is where he was living, and I'd say he's still up around there, but RMB composer is what I found him online as, and that was his show reel there. But go check out, he's got lots of stuff. He also plays guitar as well as the keyboards and all that stuff, but his arrangements are well worth checking out. And of course, what he's about to embark on with a cinematic kind of book / kind of War of the Worlds kind of idea. I like that. And no better man. He's a young guy, and he's got years ahead of him of valuable learning and stuff. And he was one person that was never afraid to learn and bounce off other people and share his ideas. So I think he's going to go far in that world, without a shadow of a doubt. So we're a little bit behind, but we're not too much behind. And you know what's wonderful? And this, when it happens, like this week, when I see the next guest in the green room, as we call it, or backstage, it's just wonderful because it all kind of flows really, really well. And it brings me on to my last guest tonight, but also the very first guest of the winter season of Poetry Corner, which is curated and produced by my good friend Catrice Greer, whom you know because she's a regular on the show up and down, way over in Maryland, Baltimore, Washington, in the USA. And my first guest tonight on that is Kathy Carson, who is based in the north of Ireland, and Crossgar, as far as now she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I have found out anyway, up north. But for the first time, what I'm going to do with Poetry Corner is actually play a piece for the poet before they come on, like I do for the musicians and the producers and all the other artists come on, because for so long now we haven't actually done that. The poet usually just comes on and does their reading, and I think it's only fair that we add a little bit of something. So I'm going to take a piece by Kathy that I found that I really like, and it's called Stay, and there's a little introduction as well to her before she gets up and reads, so it'll give you an idea what she's like performing her spoken word pieces, as she's a spoken word performer also, which is important to mention. It's not just poetry, that is the genre it falls into as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Kathy by a video introduction first. So this is called Stay, and I love this piece, and we'll get back to her in a couple of minutes. So here we go.
After our intermission, we're back to our second half with Kathy Carson. Kathy is from Crossgar and used to be a break dancer and hip hop dancer, and she still pulls the odd move. I've seen her. After coming out of the writing closet almost 2 years ago, she is happier putting words on the page than making shapes on the stage. Tonight, Kathy is reading Stay. Welcome, Kathy.
Everybody hear me okay at the back? Yeah.
Not really.
Thank you to Biddy and Raymond for having me read. I really enjoyed it. It's always fantastic event. The standard tonight has been amazing. So thank you for everyone who shared your stories. So this is called Stay. It's hard to imagine how we used to be. We would lie in this bed, fitting together as though we had been carved from one another. Like a dovetail joint, you used to say. But now, it feels like this bed isn't big enough for the both of us. Like you have never been further away. I turn towards you and watch you sleep. The rise and fall, the ebb and flow of a man I want you intimately, loved passionately. Now, lost. We had decorated the nursery in yellow, not wanting to know the sex of our firstborn, and I had crocheted blankets in white and mint green. And you had joked that the nursery would look like a pastel tricolour. At the scans, we asked the midwife not to say a word if she saw a little penis. And you had laughed, boasting that if the child was yours, the penis would not be little. And the young midwife had blushed and turned away, and I remember scolding you on the way home. And we held off on choosing names too, because we wanted to wait until we saw the colour of their eyes, the furrow of their brow, the dimple in their chin, the velvet of their skin. And when she came, she had my eyes and your hair. But she was still and silent, and you fled the room. I heard you retch and fight for breath as your footsteps grew faint, and I called you so many times, but you never came back. And you still haven't come back. Not really. In the weeks and months that followed, you couldn't bear to look at me. As I wore my grief in technicolor empty arms swung like pendulums at my side, tears and silence. Rage and despair for all the words to say, I would say your name. Over and over. Like a mantra. Like a prayer. And you would wince as if the sound of it seared your skin. You kept on running. Like an animal, you cowered, licking your wounds, picking at the scabs until the poison set in. And every day I searched you for the man you used to be, and every day you ran further and further away. And now you are lost to me. You're lost to yourself. Unreachable. At some stage, you began to drink. I would find the bottles hidden around the house and find you passed out on the sofa, and God, I despised you. For all the tears that you should have cried, but you didn't. All the times you should have helped me, but you didn't. And all the times you should have said her name, but you didn't. So I will leave today. I will go to Mother's at first and work out what to do from there. The suitcase has been hidden like a crime under the stairs for weeks now. And the note propped up against the kettle tells you why. Tells you to get help. God tells you I miss you. And it tells you goodbye. And I know that when I rise from this bed, the memory foam will reform. And erase the memory of me as if I have never been. I press my palm deep into the foam, despair drive me to make a mark in this place where we made her. Stay, you say, and I barely hear you. Please. And finally, the tears that I have longed for track the pillow creases in your face as you bring my wedding band to your lips. You open your eyes, and in them I see all I need to see, that you are no longer lost, that you are coming back to me. God, all I can do not to shout, there you are. The imprint of my hand on the mattress is disappearing, like forgiven sin. Okay, I say, and you pull me close, the contact flooding me like a balm. I will stay.
Wow, that is just amazing stuff by Kathy Carson, and a lot going on there in that piece. I have to say, it's called Stay, and it's just such a wonderful piece. I listened to it today, and I listened to it now again, and I'm still blown away by it. So without further ado, our first winter season guest on Poetry Corner, Kathy Carson. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Dave, for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
You're more than welcome. Catrice is here as well, of course, our famous curator and all. She's here. She tells me there's a little bit of an echo on the video there, whatever happened there, but don't worry about it. These things happen on the internet. It gives people the best of both worlds because they get to just see one of your videos, and of course in person now it'll be wonderful because we won't have any echoes with you because you're right here and you're ready to go. But tell me, Crossgar, is that correct?
It is, yeah. County
Where County Down? Yeah, because I've never been in Crossgar. I've been up around that kind of area, but tell me a little bit about Crossgar.
So I'm about maybe 17 miles outside Belfast and 5
Yeah,
miles outside Downpatrick, where St. Patrick is. So
wonderful, lovely
I'm
area,
in kind
lovely.
of a village and
Yeah,
kind of a farm town. So it's a nice
yeah,
little place. Nice.
yeah, yeah. A lovely place. I can imagine. Would you say it's a kind of a place that would be inspirational for your spoken word pieces? Like, it would be a lovely place
It
to.
kind of is, Dave, but I grew
Yeah,
up in inner city Belfast, in very working
yes,
class Belfast. So I've only been lucky enough to live down here from I was about 24, 25. So roughly about half my life I've been living
yeah,
outside of
yeah.
Belfast. So
Inner city Belfast, like, let's be honest, like, yeah, like most cities anyway, but tough spot at times to grow
yeah,
up in, like, I can imagine. Would you say that that has definitely added to your subject and subjects that because I've watched more than Stay, of course, I've been watching a good few videos, and you're quite intense in a
yeah,
good way and very honest, and your work is very much about real life. So, like,
yeah.
couples and things that happen in marital situations, children, family life in general. Like, would you say you got a good bit of inspiration growing up in inner city Belfast for that kind
I
of
grew
subject?
up very fast. I grew up, and I say this with great respect for my parents, but I grew up with domestic violence at home.
Okay.
And I say that with respect because leaving that situation, I had lots of behaviors that were dysfunctional and damaging to me and to others. And
Yeah.
I was only able to change those because I had people who I call lifeboats that came
Okay.
in and loved me when I least deserved it and helped me to change those behaviors. So, what
Mm.
I always think about my parents is who could they have been if someone had come in and done that for them? And
Yeah.
my biggest
True.
regret is for them that no one ever reached out and has done that for them. And so they're both
Yeah.
gone now. So I try and keep that in my heart and my head that who could they have been rather
Who could
than,
they? Yeah. I love
yeah,
that.
I just
I
think
love that.
someone's behavior is very rarely all that they can be. And
Yeah.
yeah,
True.
I think my parents' behavior wasn't all that they could be. And
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
grateful that I was able to get out of that sort of dynamic
it's
through the
great.
grace of others.
Overcoming that is not easy, and I know where you're coming from because I grew up in a similar situation myself, and it took me many years to kind of come to terms with certain things, and stuff like that. And it's hard. I suppose the hardest part is I suppose forgiveness in general, maybe, or I don't know, just getting. For me, the hardest part was just to get to your own place and just be
Yeah.
yourself, and not to kind of let go of it, and try to be your own person when you get old enough to be that person. But I certainly hear you when you say about growing up fast. I grew up very, very fast, and I know exactly where you're coming from. And when I listen to your work, I can actually feel that resonating in it. That this is a person who has seen a lot and
Yeah.
knows a lot, before their time. I kind of felt that when I was listening to you there, even. Um, but nonetheless, you're in Crossgar now, and you're happier and settled and everything, and which is great.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
tell me this, like, I know you're involved, and Catrice knows you quite well and stuff like that. But I've seen you doing a lot of work on different platforms and stuff. You're out there and you're doing a lot of work. When did you get into spoken word? When did it kind of suddenly click that, okay, I'm going to do this full on? I'm really going to go for this. At what point did you realize this was going to be something to
Goodness.
get
It
into?
happened by accident, Dave. I
Yeah.
have a stammer which I mask really, really well because I'm
Really?
48 now and I've learned the phrases that I can say and the phrases that I can't. And
Yeah.
so
I
the
would never have
performance,
guessed.
yeah, and it catches up with me sometimes, and it might do
Okay,
as we're here tonight, but
that's
we'll
fine.
let it
That's
go with
fine.
grace.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so the performing part came by accident. I started sharing my reading work about 3 years ago, and I don't write on the page. I don't create that way. So everything
Okay.
for me is about how it sounds and how it feels for me to push it through my body. And
Okay.
so a lot of my writing is done on audio rather than on the page. So I will gather phrases and I'll loop them together until I'm
Okay.
happy with how the piece sounds, and only then it will go down on paper. So
Brilliant. So
by
everything
the
is like,
time that
are
I
you
was
are you using like a are you using a like a sort of a dictaphone idea? You're walking around, or is it the
dictaphone,
phone, or
iPhone apps, apps on
Yeah,
computer, just
yeah.
whatever I have handy.
Whatever's handy. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
by the
brilliant.
time I go
Yeah.
to read it, I know it.
Yes.
I
So
find
you,
when I tried to read, I really stammered quite bad. It took me back to school when the teacher asks you to
yeah,
read and it all gets
psychologically.
bunged
Yeah,
up in your chest.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
tried it
yeah.
one time without actually using the page, and it just felt like flying. It just
Wow.
set me free. And that's the only way I can explain. I can remember feeling, and I thought, this is how I can do
Relaxation.
this. This is how I can carry this and just be in the
Yeah,
moment
yeah,
and push
yeah.
the poem through me. And the freedom in that is just amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I know as a singer myself, I feel like that when I'm singing something or playing a song that I've written. There is that sensation of it's going literally through you and out. It's quite cool. It is quite cool. But I think that's very interesting that that's how you work, that you don't need to use the paper and the pen that much, which is brilliant. Because I'm new, by the way. I'm a real newbie now when it comes to spoken word. Okay, it's Catrice is the expert, and she's educating me as the weeks go on. But I'm really enjoying
No
this.
one better. There's no one better to
Yeah,
educate
I'm
you.
enjoying the journey of learning more and more. I'm getting more into it now because meeting all you guys on a weekly basis, every week I feel like I know a little bit more about it and stuff, and it's a whole new world. It's amazing. I do write pieces of poetry and have written stuff like that, but I never classed it as poetry. Do you know that kind of way? Because as a songwriter, I just think, well, this is just words with no music. I don't think of it as, well, maybe actually it's a poem. Do you know what I mean? And now I can kind of see that there's other ways to do it. But getting into the work that you're doing readings publicly a lot as well, like the video that we just saw there. How do you find that? Do you find it daunting getting up in front of audiences, or is that
I
are you
do.
comfortable?
Dave, I'm doing this about 3 years, and in the
Right.
first whole year, I did all my performances in my bare feet so that I could grind my feet into the ground because my
Okay.
legs were shaking so much. So yes, I
My
do
God.
find it still
Wow.
really hard, but I just
Yeah.
push through and just
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's exciting too, isn't it? I mean, when you're performing in any way, shape, or form, that feeling comes before, and then after there is that kind of elation, isn't there? Where you're like, I've done it, I'm finished, I can go, and it's yeah, it's wonderful. It is wonderful. What is the plan? Because I know I heard, by the way, that you used to be a break dancer. Now, this intrigued me when I heard this because I know the lady who introduced you in the video, but I'd been doing a little bit of research and I thought, hang on a minute now. This is, from what I can gather, I haven't spoken to you yesterday, quite a gentile, placid lady, and comes across as being quite easygoing and relaxing and all that. And I was like, wait a minute. At some point, she was in a shell tracksuit, probably with runner boots, doing cartwheels and jumping. Yeah, so I'm thinking, when was that? Just I have to ask you. Like, I mean, when
goodness, that was probably from the age of about 14 to about 20. Back in the day, and I ended up working in Ibiza for a season, and
wow,
I love music. I was my father was an incredible musician, and
okay,
bless him, he was incredible. I still have to meet a guitar player who was as good as him, and that's just not coming from a daughter because we didn't get on, but he was such an incredible musician. So I love music, and I just find it impossible to sit still when there's music on. I just find it impossible.
Yeah.
And I just.
And come here, were you doing kind of like street performances as well? Were you and clubs?
So I was in a little crew.
Right.
A
Okay.
dancing crew, and I had my little beanie hat for spinning on my head, and my high top trainers, and a shell suit, as you say, and white gloves for body popping, and the whole business.
Body popping. I've forgotten about all those moves. Body popping, yeah. Oh my God, the moonwalk, all that stuff, of course, yeah. Heavily influenced by Michael Jackson, a lot of the stuff. But wow. So
and all the steps to Thriller, Dave. Every move.
Wow. Okay, there's a whole other interview in this, okay? We'll have to get you to take a trip down because we're going to do some next year actual live guest shows where we're going to sit down with each other. So maybe we could do that in the future. We'll get you down to do a bit of that. That'd be awesome. Breakdancing. But anyway, I had to ask you about that because I think that's cool. How you make the journey from that to now is amazing because I know that you're a dedicated cancer nurse as well. And it's important to sort of touch off that too, because I think it's a wonderful wonderful, wonderful thing that you're doing. And I'm not just saying that, I'm not being patronizing, because it's very easy to be that way. I mean it. Cancer has touched everybody. Has touched my family. It has touched my friends' families. There's nobody that is not affected in some way, shape, or form, young and old. The way things are going now, it's all ages. How do you find juggling that? Because that's a very stressful job, even though I know you love it, but it's a difficult job. Like, do you find that the poetry and the spoken word is a real sort of a release from that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a complete counterbalance, and it's a complete flip side to the skills and the personality that I use in work to the one that I use performing. It's two different sides of me, and it's just a form of escapism. And I use my poetry a lot to work through stuff that happens in work, and just to process it. So
even though
really
you did say to me yesterday when we were doing our sound check, you said to me, which I thought was wonderful, and I remembered it, about that. Like, I said to you, about the job and stuff like that, and you said, yeah, but it was something like you said to me, but it's not me, it's the people going through the cancer journey, that, like, you felt lucky to be around them.
Yeah, they just humble you. People's courage will just
that struck
floor
me
you.
kind of, because I was like, I never thought of it that way. I always think of your job, what you're doing, as being very difficult, but at the same time, you said to me, no, but I feel lucky to be there, to be with those people.
We get to witness people in some of the most difficult times of their lives, and we get to see families come together. We get to help families come together. We get to help families reconcile, and people say their last words in a way that they want to. And that is such a gift, to be part of that process is really humbling, really, really humbling. And it makes you thankful every day. It really does.
Yeah, I can imagine that it's a very powerful place to be, constantly seeing, like, people reconciling, things like that. And of course, people making their final wishes and last words. And that, most of us only probably see that in our lives once or twice, 3 times if we're, unlucky. But you see it a lot. And but it must be quite draining as well when you get home in the evening. Thank God that you have this outlet that you can do your spoken word.
And I also have an incredible husband, Dave, I have to say.
Okay.
My husband is very, very steady. I'm an up and down emotional little person. He is completely on the level, and
he's the
he
rock.
just catches me every time. And
Brilliant.
yeah,
Well,
and I think I wouldn't do it only for him. He's fantastic. So it's good to have that support as well.
brilliant. Kudos to, what's his name?
His name's David. He's another Dave.
Of course it is. Another Dave. Look, see, us Daves are very steady. We are very steady. My wife says that to me all the time. And I can tell you, if she was here now, she'd
And
be
very
laughing.
humble, those Daves as well.
Yeah, we can be. We try. We try our best. Well, kudos to David. Fair play. Because I know, it's sometimes, it's hard to be sort of the steady one all the time, and the rock and all that sort of stuff. But like, you need it. You do need it. You're going to read a piece for us, which I'm quite looking forward to, because I don't know what you're going to do, and that's the best part. What have you got in mind for us this evening?
I'm going to do a piece. I'm quite autobiographical, but this isn't. This was a piece that I wrote. It's in first person, but it was for autism charity to raise awareness about autism. So I was going to do that piece, if that's okay.
What is it called, Kathy?
It's called Spectrum.
Spectrum. That's the word, isn't it? That is the word, and that's the word that needs to be used more. Because when it comes to autism and different sort of, if you like, conditions or whatever you want to word it, because I just hate the way they're worded a lot of the time. Spectrum is a great word, because some people say about being on the spectrum, off the spectrum, whatever way you are, but it's just it's the spectrum, isn't it? At the end of the day, we're all, in my opinion, we're all on it or off it or whatever. But anyway, don't let me, I'm ranting now. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to turn off my microphone and sit back and enjoy this. My favorite part of the show, by the way. So without further ado, Kathy Carson in Crossgar, above in County Down, your spoken word piece, Spectrum, in your own time.
Thank you, Dave. It is the Saturday before Christmas, and God, I swear, that every damn soul in Belfast seems intent on walking through me. My ears are bitten and bone marrow cold. And Leo holds my hand like he did as a toddler, now 18 years old. His height is 6'2", but his gait is only slightly better. And he walks, head down, avoids all eye contact, uses the rhythm of my steps as a guide, stiffens, stops. Coffee, he shouts, and it's loud enough that people stare then. Coffee, again. And he lets go of my hand to flap his long arms and stamp his feet. Jesus. No coffee and no nonsense. We need to get home soon. I reach out a hand, but he bats it away and anchors to the ground, ignores me. I need to choose my battles. Don't you dare, I mutter. Don't you dare have a meltdown in the middle of Belfast. Not today, son, please. The pain in my chest reminds me to breathe. And teenagers are already circling with mobile phones at the ready. When he was younger, the meltdowns would terrify me. He would throw himself to the ground, limbs flailing while I froze, not knowing how to make it stop. And after, I would sit on the floor with his head in my lap and stroke his hair, as much to soothe myself as him. I had no idea how to love this child. I was empty, hollow, as if someone had carved out my core. It was years before I realized I was grieving for the healthy child I thought I had a right to, for the absent father who couldn't cope, for all that I used to be and all that I would never become. But I remember the exact moment it changed. Leo was 6. We were on holiday in a dilapidated 2-berth caravan in Portrush. It had rained all week. Desperate to be outside, we donned raincoats, Wellingtons, headed to the rock pools with buckets and nets in hand, and Leo hunkered down, reached out to touch the water with his fingers, and giggled as the ripples made their way to the edge. His laughter, bird song in the air. Circles, he boasted, as if he had invented them. And then he looked straight at me. Not past me, not through me, but straight at me. His eyes locked on mine. And I saw for the first time the way that sunlight sprinkled gold dust on his eyelashes, and the way that laughter punctured his cheeks with dimples. Yes, Leo, you clever boy. Those are circles. But he was gone as quickly as he had arrived, silent once more, face flat. But it didn't matter, because something had connected. We had connected. You see, my boy was reachable, so I could make this happen again. In Belfast, the streetlights turned raindrops into fireflies above our heads. And I study Leo for signs that this is something other than defiance, but he isn't rocking on his feet or tapping on his thigh, and there is no low hum that usually comes before an episode. This bugger is huffing. Right, son? Come on, I try. Immediately know that the tone was too harsh. I watch him crumple and tears sear his face, and standing my ground isn't worth this. Nothing's really worth this. And the guilt is so heavy, I have trouble stepping towards him with my outstretched hand. Come on, big man, I say. Let's go and get that coffee, eh? And there it is. But that smile, the one that punctures his cheeks with dimples as he looks straight at me, you see? I made it happen again. And my forever boy takes my hand. Thanks, Dave.
Oh my God. I mean it when I say this is has become the favorite part of the show for me. Wow, what a story. Whoa. I'll be honest with you, right? And I have to say this, I could have been at like a screen test for a movie right there. And when I say that, I mean that as a compliment. You could certainly act. Oh my God, you really could. You're very convincing, and I mean that. not just the words, not just the piece, but your expressions.
Thank you so
You're
much.
totally, you're living, breathing what you're speaking there. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. Really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. And as I say, I was there. I could see everything. I could see the whole story unfold. That's the best part, and that's what I'm learning about spoken word. By the way, that's what I'm learning. So thank you so much for kicking off the winter season. As I said to Catrice, I sometimes evaporate when I listen to spoken word and poetry. I get all relaxed. I have to sit up and just kind of get back into it now. But thank you so much for kicking off the winter season and being the first Poetry Corner guest of this season, and what a start. I can't wait to see everybody in the coming weeks, and I wish you all the best
Thank you
in
so
your
much.
future
Thank you.
endeavors. And I know you're going to be go from strength to strength. I'm sure you will. So please keep in touch and keep sending us. Feel free to send links to anything you want to the show page and all that sort of stuff, and we'll
Thank
make sure to keep everybody in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. It's been really lovely to be here. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome, Kathy Carson. Thank you so much. Take care. Mind yourself.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So that was one hell of a start. Oh my God, what a start! Because yeah, I'm really starting to realize that there is a whole new world in spoken word. Spoken word. That's it. Something that I've known so little about, and now I'm learning and learning and learning just by meeting everybody, just by watching them, listening to them. Wow, it's just. But Kathy Carson, guys, go check her out. She has lots of stuff on YouTube, lots of videos, readings. As I would refer to them, and she's just wonderful to watch. Her expressions, it's not just the words and the piece, it's the way she delivers it. To me, that's what makes it believable, and it is believable because she speaks right from the heart, straight from the heart. Anyway, wow, what a great show. I hope you enjoyed it. The first show of the winter season. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to do, and I always do a shameless plug at the end of every show. So I will do that because I have a reason I'm going to do a shameless plug. But first, I want to include a song for everybody before we go tonight. So I'm going to do 2 songs. And this is called Golden Goddess. I know I played it last week, but it's by a good friend of mine, Lula, who is based in Canada, but she's from Limerick here. And I wanted to play it again on tonight's show because it's her new single, and it's the new video for the new single, which just hit the kind of sort of YouTube / Vimeo and all those places last week. So I'm going to play it again for you, and then I'm going to do a little version of Joey Had to Fly after that. The reason that I'm doing that is because yesterday, the day before yesterday, being the 29th of October, is a very important date in my diary and a lot of my friends and people, because the song Joey Had to Fly, long story short, was written about my dear friend Martin Morrissey, who was my uncle, my friend, my compatriot, and of course brother in arms in music. He was a singer and a musician and all that sort of stuff, and we lost him tragically 25 years ago on the 29th of October, 2 days ago. And I was thinking about him a lot over the last couple of weeks. By the way, thank you for all the birthday wishes as well that everybody sent me online as well from 4 days ago. So it was kind of a topsy-turvy kind of a week, but thanks for all the birthday wishes. I had a great buzz. I really enjoyed it. It was lovely to connect with everybody online and a few of you in person, and hopefully that'll be more and more as time goes on. But anyway, long story short, I wanted to, in tribute to the man himself, Martin Morrissey, of course, play you the version of Joey Had to Fly that I recorded outside here last year during lockdown, which was written, of course, as a tribute to him. And so we're going to do a double header. And of course, if you see the PayPal link on the bottom, lads, I'm not going to harp on about it. It is just there to make a few small donations to the show if you like what you see. It's not about paying money into something that, for me, it's for keeping the equipment moving, keeping the backdrops. Well, my children did the backdrop tonight, which was quite cool. In fairness, I just stuck it up. But for the equipment and stuff like that, it's just to keep everything working and things break down and all that. So if you want to, or if you can, please feel free to make small sort of contributions to the show through the PayPal link at the bottom of the screen. Okay, that's it. Show number 1 done. I'd like to thank all my guests this evening. Nata and Evgeny in Poznan in Poland, who braved the electricity blackout and still managed to come on and play a song. Thank you so much. Of course, Roddy Clear, the one and only radio DJ from KCLR, who in Kilkenny, who has his show, the Irish Music Show, every Wednesday night. Go check him out. You probably already have heard of him, but if you haven't, go check it out. He's wonderful. Michael Byrne, R&B composer based in Dublin, who is actually in Edinburgh as we speak, is doing a lot of new composing and production projects that are going to be coming out next year. So go check him out, R&B composer. And last but not least, of course, there was Kathy Carson in Crossgar in County Down in the north, and her wonderful reading there, which I really enjoyed. So go check her out, Kathy Carson. I would like to thank my good friend in the States, Catrice Greer, who curates and produces Gets the Poets basically for Poetry Corner, and I know she's here tonight, so thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for tuning in and listening. You, most importantly, the people who listen and watch. There wouldn't be a show if you guys didn't tune in every week, so thanks, and stick with us, please. Friday Night Live will keep going until the end of the year, and we'll see what happens then after that. But I can tell you right now, we're going to finish it up and finish it off this year anyway with one hell of a show on New Year's Eve, because it's a Friday and it's going to be big. I'm telling you, we're already making plans for something really special, really special. So the build up is from tonight right up to New Year's Eve. Trust me, it's going to get bigger and better every week, and we're going to keep going and keep going. And I know a lot of you enjoy it, and please share the show. That's all I will ask you, to get it out to as many people as possible. So when this is over and you see the replay or whatever, please put it on your page, share the show. You couldn't do me a bigger favor by just doing that, because your friends will see it, their friends will see it, and that's the way we kind of spread the word about it. If you just stick it up on your profile, please. That's all I ask. Thanks very much, guys. I better stop waffling and get off and let you relax. But please don't go, because I've got 2 songs for you that I want you to listen to. This is Golden Goddess by Lula, and it's our new single. Based in Canada, but from Limerick, just up the road from me here. So I'm going to give her a little plug, and then I'm going to finish off with Joey Had to Fly. God bless. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you again next week, same time, 10 o'clock, and with another great lineup of guests. Good night, lads, and mind yourselves. Take care.
Have you seen her? Have you heard her? A golden goddess, you'll always remember. Mama always said
Yes, Lula. And by the way, I did play that last week as well, but I am shamelessly plugging her because she's, I suppose, just up the road from me. And she's good, in fairness. It's a great song. It's her first single that she's brought out, and it's also her first video, and it's called Golden Goddess, written about her friend, a friend of hers who inspired her. And it's really cool. You should go check her out, Luila, Lula. And she's going to have a lot more stuff coming out soon, I guarantee you, and it's going to be top-notch like that. She does things right when she does it. I'll give her that. Anyway, guys, this is it. I'm going to leave you with this in celebration of my good friend. This is Joey Had to Fly for my good friend Martin Morrissey. Of course, kudos and big love to him and everybody who knew him. Good night. Joey Had to Fly. Shameless plug. See you again next week, guys, 10 o'clock.
We went with the flow. No fear, no fall, no crime. The spirit's lost in time. On a sweet September night, there was me and you and Joe. We were running wild, tearing down the marquees and the lights, ripping up the yard. There was something about that night made me scream inside. Dream it fell apart. We never said goodbye. There was something about that sky made me question why. Joey had to fly. Now the fools and the renegades, they followed us through town. It was an army of discreet. The blind leading the blind. But we were young and high. There was something about that night made me scream inside. Dream it fell apart. We never said goodbye. Something about that sky made me question why. Whoa, something about that night made me scream inside. Dream it fell apart. We never said goodbye. Something about that sky made me question why. Joey had to fly. I see you there. I'll see you there. I'll see you there. I'll see you there. Yeah.